Phil Twyford.
Mr Chairman. I think by some oversight this bill has been misnamed, and I wonder if it's possible to put up an amendment in the title and commencement part of this debate to rename it, because, Mr Chairman, I think a much more accurate description of this bill would be the taxation open bracket trying to manage the optics closed bracket bill. Because that's basically what this bill is. It is an exercise in political cynicism, and it points to, I think, an interesting sequence of political responses that this government has made to the housing crisis. In the first couple of years, they were clearly hoping it would go away, that if they did nothing, if they sort of played dead and played possum, didn't move, nothing, then maybe the housing crisis would just pass right over them and nothing would happen. But it became clear, I think, about 3 years ago that the housing crisis was inflicting some pretty serious damage on the government, and they put Nick Smith in the job of being housing minister. And the strategy ever since then has essentially been to look as if they're doing something, and this bill, Mr Chairman, is a classic of its kind. It is all about the optics. It's all about trying to do as little as possible while actually conveying the impression of activity. And we've seen it. We've seen exactly the same thing go on with the whole issue of non-resident foreign buyers. Members on that side of the House have denied, rubbished the idea that offshore speculators were having any kind of negative impact in the Auckland housing market. And then when this bill was announced, its companion was a bill that required non-resident foreign buyers of residential property to register within Inland Revenue. And another bit of flim-flam from the National Party designed to make it look as if they're doing something, even though they denied that foreign buyers were an issue, to make it look as if they're doing something while having negligible impact. We've seen it with the special housing areas. Again, the big flagship initiative to increase the supply of housing, like this bill, basically tackling one of the main causes of the housing crisis, in the bill's case, property speculation. But the special housing areas, as we saw today, have delivered only 102 houses in Auckland over the last 2 years. But there's been an interesting evolution, actually. At the same time that we've been discussing this bill at Select Committee, what's happened is that the government strategy has shifted a little bit, interestingly. And I think they are so nervous that the Auckland housing bubble will pop on their watch, and the very people that John Key's been pandering to, not wanting to do anything that might disturb the upward trajectory of house prices, up $180,000 on average in the last year because of the...
I'm now warning the member to actually speak to the bill.
Well, the property speculation...
It's not a general debate on Auckland housing.
The thing that this bill purports to tackle, the rampant property speculation in Auckland that's been driving prices higher and higher, that's delivered an increase of $180,000 plus on the average Auckland house just in the last 12 months. It threatens the very economic stability, financial stability of our markets and the well-being of a third of this country's population. Probably more, because if the bubble in Auckland bursts, there will be egg on a lot of people's faces. It will damage the livelihoods of a huge number of people and probably tip the entire economy into recession. This bill will do nothing about that. It will do nothing to foreclose on that scenario. And that is not only an act of political cynicism, but it is an act of utter irresponsibility. And so the Finance Minister is reduced to now being a commentator talking up the risk of the bubble bursting, while his government is shepherding this bill through the House, a bill that will make little, if any, difference at all. And all the commentators have said it from the moment it was announced prior to the budget. All of the Law Society, the accountants, EY, the KPMG, all of the submitters that came along to the Select Committee have just torn this bill apart and said that it is a chaotic, confused piece
Stuart
of
Nash.
legislation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. The great thing about the English language is words have different meanings